And back down to the basement he goes. Joe Biden with no campaign events or public events on his schedule all week until Thursday night's debate. Trying to run out the clock. Hiding Biden. And it is a strategy that, I don't know, may work. If Americans are dumb enough to say, well, he doesn't go anywhere, he can't get himself in any more trouble, maybe that works. Meanwhile, President Trump has a schedule that would bring people a third of his age to their knees. He's out. I think he did 5 campaign appearances yesterday alone. He is crisscrossing the country, enthusiastically meeting with thousands of supporters. Every time there's a Trump rally, the media scolds them. The news media says, they're not social distancing. I saw a couple of protests in New York City. I didn't see any social distancing this weekend. Black Lives Matter, the Women's March. I didn't see any social distancing, but that's okay, right? It's only like Orthodox Jews who are bad people for wanting to hold a wedding in New York. They're the bad ones. But the Black Lives Matter protesters, Antifa, women's marchers, that's all right. There's no problem with that. There's a bigger cause here. Bigger cause. The mayor of New York yesterday suggested it'll be weeks before the lockdown restrictions will be lifted in various parts of the city of New York. President said it this week. You've got people who have taken coronavirus and turned it into a talking point that is just designed to terrify the American people. Yesterday, at the president's rally, one of the many rallies he participated in, this was in Prescott, Arizona, he talked about how places like CNN start, continue with, and end with coronavirus, with cases, with infections, morning, noon, and night, day after day, hour after hour. Here's what President Trump said about it.
You know, and your state is doing great with the pandemic. They're getting tired of the pandemic, aren't they? Getting tired of the pandemic. You turn on CNN, that's all they cover. COVID, pandemic, COVID. You know why? They're trying to talk everybody out of voting. People aren't buying at CNN, you dumb bastards. They're not buying it.
Wow. So some tough talk, rough language for CNN. And you know something? A lot of Americans at that rally roared in approval. How many people listening to me think that November the 4th or 5th or 6th, suddenly there's going to be all kinds of good news about coronavirus? Suddenly, the low death rate and the low hospitalization rate, which is here now, will be focused on. Suddenly, after the election, they'll start showing the numbers of hospitalizations and deaths because it's a pretty encouraging number. Yes, people are getting the coronavirus. It is a virus. It is being spread around. How many people were at the Rose Garden so-called super spreader event that got coronavirus? A lot of people, right? 3 dozen? Was it 34? How are they all doing? Anybody die? Anybody wind up being killed by going to the Rose Garden? Did Trump kill anybody by announcing Amy Coney Barrett? I don't think so. President got coronavirus. He was sick for what, a day? 2 days? 3 maybe? I mean, at some point, you've got to have a little bit of common sense. But there is no common sense with Democrat leadership in America. For example, the governor of New York now wants his own team to approve a COVID-19 vaccine before distributing it to millions of New Yorkers. Check this out. Cuomo clearly doesn't trust the FDA and the CDC. He says that isn't necessarily safe. He doesn't believe it. So he wants his own team. I wonder if that'll be the same team that sent all the seniors into the nursing homes earlier in the year, as Cuomo and New York State did. Wonder if that'll be the same team. Wonder if that's in his book, how he doesn't want New Yorkers to trust the vaccine, which means there'll be a lot of New Yorkers who aren't going to trust the vaccine. They're not going to take the vaccine. I guarantee you there's a lot of people on my side of the aisle who aren't going to take the vaccine. When Cuomo is saying, here's what Cuomo told ABC's Good Morning America. Man, his voice just grates on me. I should not despise politicians the way I despise this guy. The idea of writing a book and bragging about his leadership after thousands of New Yorkers, they still have the highest death count in America. They're actually hoping other states will catch up to them. They are. They keep saying, I've seen him do his stupid daily briefing where he says, other states are getting closer to, oh, great. That's a great metric. You should be proud of that. Thousands of elderly people died because you made them go into nursing homes. Meanwhile, the Florida governor refused to admit COVID-19 patients into nursing homes, saving a lot of lives. On a federal level, Trump is the guy who had the travel ban that you guys thought was xenophobic and bigoted and wrong. You were going around in March saying, come on to New York, everything's fine. So don't give me your crap about your leadership. Cuomo told Good Morning America yesterday, you're going to say to the American people, now here's a vaccine. It was new, it was done quickly, but trust this federal administration and their health administration that it's safe and we're not 100% sure of the consequences. I think it's going to be a very skeptical American public about taking the vaccine, said Democrat Governor Andrew Cuomo. Where's the news media on this? Why doesn't the media call Cuomo out for casting shade on the vaccine, for doubting the efficacy of the vaccine? It's going to be a bunch of liberal Democrats who don't want the vaccine either. I've been in New York for a little bit now. I'm watching a lot of New York media. Sunday, I watched Cuomo's press conference. I couldn't believe my ears. I turned it on right about this. Now, liberal New Yorkers, they're infatuated with this clown. They think this guy's a leader. Oh, I watch his press conference every day. I listen to what he tells me. I just think he's brilliant. He's so better than Trump. Trump, where these are failed leaders. And Democrats have to pay a price at the ballot box on November 3rd for their failed leadership. New York, in many ways, is a disaster area. It really is. You should see the fighting, the anti-Semitism that I'm witnessing because Jews want to have weddings. And they're arresting Jewish leaders in New York, and they're upset about Orthodox Jews congregating. And you should see the rules about movie theaters. I mean, it's really a strange place to be. And, it's what a Democrat-run city and state look like. You want more of this? You want 4 years of this? We got 2 weeks. 2 weeks to go. Honestly, I want somebody to help explain to me why Cuomo is festering with, is continuing this false narrative about the virus that came from China coming from Europe. Can you explain it to me? Because somebody knows. This is where I need you to answer some questions for me. 1-800-655-MIKE. 2 weeks away. The final countdown is on. 2 weeks from today. Welcome in to a Tuesday, October 20th episode of The Mike Gallagher Show in the ReliefFactor.com studios. Imagine thinking Cuomo is a strong leader. Imagine the shame he should have for publishing a book. Yesterday they had a protest. They had like 6,000 copies of his book in caskets representing the thousands of nursing home patients who died under the New York mandate. It's so sad when you think about what they did here in New York.